So, folks, we have to talk about the Iran war and how it is continuing to spread, and the more and more countries are becoming involved, and that's really bad news. Um, it's getting terrible, and Benjamin Netanyahu went to Washington today to try and convince Donald Trump to well both renew hostility against Iran and also engage in a wider scale conflict. What is happening right now is essentially a replay of what happened to kick off the Iran war, where apparently, according to reports, Benjamin Netanyahu convinced Donald Trump that it would be a breeze and that he should absolutely bomb Iran. And essentially, the meeting today is along those same lines, but again, in the middle of the war. That's awful. That's terrible. And also worth noting that, well, everything is going to shit all at once. And it's important that we have an idea of where all of this is going to shit. So let's break out the map, everybody. So you have Iran, right? Obviously. You have Saudi Arabia over here. You got Yemen down here. And then you have the Caspian Sea up here. So what is happening right now is effectively Iran has been selling supplies and munitions to Russia as Russia has been engaged in its war against Ukraine. And today, Ukraine bombed that supply line that was and said Iran was allegedly the shipment that they hit that was an Iranian shipment was supplying arms and ammunition to Russia. Iran, of course, denies this, but of course they would. And what this indicates is that perhaps Ukraine is now going to escalate its involvement in the Iran war from not being involved to being active in bombing different targets across northern Iran as well as targets in the Caspian Sea. And this, of course, it marks a major escalation because Iran has also sworn some form of retaliation against Ukraine. So, at this time, neither has declared war against the other, but it's one of those situations that could pop off and create a one unified conflict in a way that should be deeply terrifying to any sane person, right? Yeah, like nearing a World War III type situation where Russia and Iran are aligned against Ukraine and the United States. And obviously, this is extraordinarily bad. Now, to top it off, we also have escalations in Yemen. Specifically, the Houthis have been trying to make good on their promise to block the Red Sea passage through the Bab el Mandeb Strait. Now, that is effectively a way, and the Bab el Mandeb, you can see at the very bottom here, is this little connective area, and would effectively choke off the Suez Canal. And this would be awful. But the Houthis are not content with just trying to block the Bab el Mandeb Strait. They are also launching attacks in Saudi Arabia, specifically against some of Saudi Arabia's most important oil lines. Because given that the Strait of Hormuz has been closed, Saudi Arabia has shifted moving its oil over land through its major pipelines. And this, of course, is going along the same time that northern Iraq's gas field got attacked, according to Iran. Iran is saying they struck northern Iraq's gas field, or rather, an attack. We're still getting more information about that on Iraq's largest gas field. Like we're now starting to see attacks on the fields, the oil fields and gas fields themselves, which is extraordinarily bad because if those things blow, we are in a true crisis. And all of this is on top of the fact that the targets that were struck in Saudi Arabia include not just the pipeline, but also targets in Saudi Arabia's capital, Riyadh. And the Houthis were able to make good on those strikes. And so, one of the things that you have to understand is that Saudi Arabia has been backing the officially recognized Yemeni government against the Houthis. And so the Houthis have effectively been waging a war for survival for like the past like 15 years ish. And no, even longer than that, I think. But they've come out on top and carved out like a pretty stable area of power. The fact that they are able to make good on their attacks against Saudi Arabia, one of the better armed areas in the region, thanks to their collaborations with the United States, getting an attack through their air defenses, it proves that the Houthis are capable. It is worth noting that the oil line and oil facilities that they attacked include an oil line that has shifted from transporting 1 million barrels of oil per day to 5 million barrels of oil per day because of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. If that oil line goes, the oil kind of stops flowing out of Saudi Arabia to a great degree. And there's not really much that can be done here because Saudi Arabia did attempt to counterattack, but because the Houthis are used to being bombed and attacked by Saudi Arabia, they've been able to maneuver their military equipment in such a way that they suffered virtually no military losses as a result of Saudi Arabia's retaliatory strikes. And their media is saying that those strikes hit only civilian targets. There has been no impact on their ability to actually carry out strikes. Now, Donald Trump is trying to distance himself from the conflict that is brewing between Saudi Arabia, the Houthis, and the blockage of the Bab el-Mandeb Strait by saying, "Oh, the United States has nothing to do with Yemen." But like, that don't fly, because obviously what's happening here is that. And this is, by the way, echoed by the Yemeni government here. The Houthis are seeking to mirror Iran's Hormuz model in Bab el-Mandeb. This is according to Yemen's foreign minister, Afra al-Zuba, who said they want a peaceful resolution to the conflict with the Houthis, but prepared for escalation if the group continues to push us, which would, again, be essentially plunging Yemen into yet another era of prolonged civil war. It's worth noting that the Houthis control by far the largest and most important parts of Yemen. So the officially recognized Yemeni government doesn't really have as many teeth as one might think in order to actively stop what the Houthis are doing. All of this, here's actually a map of the kind of 2026 lines of where control is. So, there's Saudi Arabia, here's Yemen. So you have essentially four different factions really, controlling various areas of Yemen. But the Houthis control this almost fortress-like area over here that includes Sana'a and Hodeida. And they possess quite a bit of coastline here, capable and the weaponry capable of shutting down the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. If they are successful in doing this, my understanding is the Houthis aren't that good at doing many things, but they are very good at fighting, because that's basically what they've been forced to specialize into in order for their, claim to power to continue to exist. And Yeah, if they are successful in shutting this down, a huge amount of the world's trade goes through that. If they are successful in shutting it down and charging tolls, they are going to be extraordinarily wealthy and empowered. And so there is a geopolitical crisis brewing there's not really a good or clean resolution here. And I want to make clear, Donald Trump is the one who let all of this out of the bottle. Donald Trump is the one who instigated this for no reason. Donald Trump is the one who has repeatedly thrown US troops into danger. This is entirely manufactured by Donald Trump. The only reason the Houthis are doing this is because Iran did it and got away with it. There's nothing stopping the Houthis from doing this successfully. Essentially, you got this situation going on, and then you also have escalating genocidal violence in Israel against Palestinians, right? And, over the past year and a half, there's been 3,033 settler attacks, all backed by the IDF, against Palestinian civilians in the West Bank. And this is escalating to a great extent now. In the past several months, these attacks have escalated by about 50% compared to the previous rate, which was still insanely high. So a genocidal level of violence is being enacted within Israel itself as well, which is going to provoke more violence in the region and instability. All of this to say, there's a decent chance here that the United States just fucks off and leaves everything a colossal mess. There is a decent chance that that's what happens here. Because, as reported in the media just a couple days ago, Trump holds off on major escalation against Iran as advisors raise concerns. What's very interesting about this headline is it doesn't mention that one of the main concerns is the fact that we are rapidly, and I've talked about this in the past, running out of anti-air interceptors, which are needed to shoot down incoming missiles or drones that are threatening the US Navy, because we've been burning through them at such a rate that it is impossible for us to replace them fast enough. It took years to build up the stockpile we had, and it's almost gone. And not just of any one kind of munition, a whole host of different munitions. Donald Trump has burned through all of it. The fact is that his advisors had to come through and tell him, you have to stop bombing Iran because we are almost out of interceptors.
Blood can never wash away blood, and it has been spilled on every single inch of this planet. We need to stop being utter fools.
We do. So, to be very clear, one of the only reasons this conflict between the United States and Iran specifically isn't escalating is because Donald Trump has been told, if we do, we're going to start seeing colossal US casualties. Essentially, you got this quote here. I'll just read it directly. General Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, has cautioned privately that resuming major combat operations against Iran was doable, but that it would dangerously deplete interceptors available to the military central command, which is responsible for operations in the Middle East. Now, the issue here is that if you do have a colossal escalation, we don't have interceptors anymore. And what happens when, Iran's cheap drones and missiles start raining in earnest on these ships again, or on any kind of landing party? Say they wanted to put boots on Karg Island, or try and put boots on mainland Iran in order to try and sweep for, missiles or mortars. What happens then is thousands of dead US soldiers. Not a couple here or a couple there. We're talking thousands of dead soldiers. And frankly, US civilians are not used to seeing those kinds of casualty numbers anymore. And Donald Trump knows that that would be effectively the end of anything that he could ever do. So all of this is, putting the United States in a position where, at the very least, Donald Trump feels like he has to pretend to negotiate again while he tries to figure out what the fuck to do. I gotta be honest, this entire thing is just a colossal shit show. You also have Trump's Board of Peace apparently saying, well, maybe we can't do full peace, but maybe we can do the best we can do is a couple huts in the middle of, Gaza. What if we built a couple huts in like the no man's land that Israel has established? Wouldn't you like to live in like the firing range of the IDF in Gaza? Like it's truly just abysmal. Everything Donald Trump touches, it turns to ass. And truly, every Republican is still trying to ride Donald Trump's dick throughout all of this. But like, look at this exchange from Meet the Press. This is oh god, Mike Waltz. Yeah. He's the UN ambassador. I forgot who he was for a split second. A lot of names to track for someone who's not good with names and faces. But Mike Waltz is the ambassador to the United Nations, and let's just see how he does on Meet the Press, shall we?
World's economies hostage.
You raise assets. I want to ask you about the assets. NBC News is reporting the Pentagon is actually rationing some defense weaponry amid diminishing supplies. Is America backing away from a larger military attack because its military stockpile has been depleted?
Well, look, we have to take a step back here in that a lot of stockpiles were depleted, not only from what we gave Ukraine over the last however many years, 4 or 5 years, and the administration inherited, the Secretary Hegseth inherited a depleted situation from not only Ukraine, but also the ongoing fight with the Houthis under the Biden administration and a depleted military under the Biden administration. So they have decided, one, they're going to new types of munitions, cheaper munitions, new technologies, but also with these new defense budgets, rebuilding our great military. However,
but you acknowledge
I want to be clear.
No, I want to acknowledge they're depleted at this moment.
I want to be crystal clear. The U.S. military, and I've verified this every which way, has everything that it needs to conduct this campaign as effectively as it needs to be. And I have to tell you, the people that are leaking this nonsense deserve to be in jail.
Well,
wild stuff. Boy howdy, does Mike Waltz just fill you with confidence that the United States is just A-okay. My source is trust me, bro. Trust me. Now, worth noting here, this is an analyst for Al Jazeera from 18 hours ago. It's a roller coaster. Nations fast running out of oil reserves. The global oil market is running on borrowed time as countries exhaust reserves used to cushion the impact of major supply disruptions. It's really quite dire, said Kona Hack, a commodities and macroeconomist describing the market since the US-Israel war on Iran began in February as experiencing the biggest supply shock ever. Oil prices reached over $100 a barrel, went down to $70, and back up to $100. It's a roller coaster. It's the kind of uncertainty that shippers, oil producers, and oil consumers all hate. Hawk said China has helped ease pressure on the global market by reducing exports of refined petroleum products, allowing it to import less crude oil. That's been a huge source of relief for the oil markets over the last 5 months, but how long can they do that? Other countries are drawing down strategic inventories built up over many years. Stocks are becoming quite tight. We're running on borrowed time. So just to be clear, one of the reasons the global economy is currently operating is because China has been absorbing a lot of the oil shock by simply like not purchasing it, leaving more to be purchased by other countries. While it does this, it is also economically maneuvering so that essentially more countries start doing trades in the yuan. Because it seems kind of like one of their major plays over the long term is to try and essentially have their own version of the petrodollar, or perhaps replace the petrodollar with the petro yuan, and that would allow them to economically do even more things, right? And it would strategically disempower the United States economy. All of this indicates that Donald Trump is kind of fucked. Like there's no clean way out of this. Like there is no economic solution that is going to be good. That like really all that's left to do for the United States is to maybe get Iran to agree to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and not charge tolls. I highly doubt that they would agree to that at this point, because they know that they have both the United States and the larger global economy by the balls. But if that is impossible, then just, say fuck it, allow them to charge tolls, and head home tail between our legs. Now, Donald Trump's ego probably isn't going to allow him to do that, but given the situation with the munitions, there's not enough left to support a major field operation. There's not enough left to put boots on the ground in large-scale, meaningful ways. And like, Iran has known from the beginning, all they have to do is close the Strait of Hormuz and play for time. Every single delay that was done in the name of like, oh, we're going to be cute with faking negotiations. And then Donald Trump, like, after a week or so of that, bombs Iran to try and like get them to come to the table even harder. Like all of that played into Iran's hands, because all Iran has to do is close the Strait of Hormuz. That's all they have to do. And they've been able to do it. So this is going to be one of those situations where the United States is already humiliated on the global stage. All that remains now is the degree to which the United States will be humiliated on the global stage. And I imagine it's going to get worse before it gets better. So, yeah, Donald Trump fucked all of us over. I'm hoping that all of this resolves before a massive global economic crash. But that is not at all guaranteed at this point. And that is terrifying. And that's not even beginning to get to the part where there's a possibility of this becoming a one unified war between the Ukraine war and the Iran war coming together. Like, that terrifies me. And then the idea that it could expand to Yemen, like, we're starting to look at a theater of war on the scale of a world war at that point. It's truly, truly, truly awful. So all of this is bad, and really the only way out of it, and the only way we can keep ourselves safe, is organizing. Join your local Dems, join your local DSA, because genuinely one of the only things that keeps us safe, the only things we can do, is build the political power necessary to stop this and make sure nothing like this can ever happen again. So join your local Dems, join your local DSA. If you don't know where to start, join our Discord. Reach out to GamerG for help with DSA. Reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems. And folks, got anything out of this, hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment. And last but not least, check out ImogeneOlivia.com, gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes, tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It is comfortable, sexy, non-tucking lingerie. We just got 2 new sizes in. We got a full restock. We got a new color. Go check it out, ImogeneOlivia.com. Link down in the doobly-doo. Let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.